And thank you for joining us on KHOU 11 Plus and our digital platforms. We have got thunderstorms building across the area. We're taking a live look over Moody Gardens in Galveston. Behind all the rain and the fog there, that rain is coming down hard. KHOU 11 weather team has issued a weather impact alert through 3 o'clock this afternoon. And take a look at this video we got from a viewer. Pea-sized hail coming down in League City earlier this morning. It has been messy outside. Good morning, I'm Sherman Chow. We have team coverage with meteorologists Cheetah Craft and Kim Castro, along with traffic expert Jennifer Reyna. Cheetah, let's start with you.
Hey, all right. Well, we are continuing to track these thunderstorms. A line of thunderstorms tracking west to east. This started early this morning in Corpus Christi to Port Lavaca, and now it has really expanded over the entire area. So those live shots that you were just showing out of Galveston, wow, that is where it is pouring blinding rain, and really the most lightning is concentrated right now. I'm going to zoom in. There is a, well, you know what? The National Weather Service, I do believe, just expired it. So that's some good news. Well, we were tracking an area cluster just south of Hobby Airport, but now that's really thinned apart. So notice just a few lightning strikes in southeast Harris County. And then along I-10 eastbound, notice some of the lightning strikes as well. But really, rain is just covering and blanketing the entire area. I'll move a little bit closer into Galveston from Texas City. Take a look at some of the concentrated lightning here. In fact, putting our lightning counter over from Texas City, including Galveston. Remember, you just saw that Moody Gardens live shot where you could hardly see. It was torrential rain. Take a look, 240 lightning strikes just over the past 10 minutes. And really, if you were looking just offshore, so this is just off the coast there, the coastline, that is really where the lightning is concentrated. But if you're in Galveston right now, you are hearing loud claps of thunder. You're seeing a lot of lightning, torrential downpours, the red on the radar indicating how heavy the rain is right now. And that's where we're going to see the heaviest rainfall rates. Right now, a big part of the area is starting to actually see the rain kind of taper down just a little bit compared to what we were seeing about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. So inside the loop, no lightning. And again, no watches, no warnings to tell you about. I wouldn't be surprised there down in Galveston if we start to see either a special weather statement or something of a precursor to indicate the potential of some strong to severe thunderstorms. But inside the loop, we're doing a lot better from Bel Air to Hunters Creek to Spring Branch, right along 290 northbound east into Galena Park. And then once you head closer into Hobby Airport, conditions have really improved. The rainfall rates have started to taper down. That's good news. And as far as how much lightning we're seeing, it's really starting to weaken. That's the first indication that a thunderstorm is starting to weaken, right when you see that lightning count go down, which is the case in Montgomery County. Now, this is just north of Woodlock. Notice from Spring into Woodlock and the Woodlands into Conroe. From Montgomery, we were seeing a lot more lightning than this about 30 minutes ago, and now it's started to calm down. Now, over towards Bedias, we were watching the potential of maybe some pea-sized hail, but across the board, I'm not seeing much, with the exception, I tell you what, I'm going to bring in meteorologist Kim Castro. I'm going to zoom in, since we're on the live stream right now, right towards Galveston. Remember the cluster of storms that we were tracking and all that lightning? Yeah, look at the hail associated with this. And then one last big picture of the radar before I send it over to Kim. Yeah, you can see the back edge side really starting to move even into portions of western Harris County. But clearly in this image right now over Galveston, that is going to be the potential for hail, damaging winds. And not only that, we're talking heavy rainfall rates. And I know, Kim, that leads you into your into the flood advisory. We've been monitoring these.
Yeah, we've just got repeated rounds of rain over the same spots, so localized street flooding is going to be a concern, and we can't rule out the possibility of one or two of those storms getting a little bit stronger, like what you're just showing there, Cheetah, near League City over towards Galveston. So for that reason, the weather team has issued a weather impact alert through 3 o'clock. So for the next couple of hours, we will be watching radar. I think in Harris County, though, things really start to lighten up by around lunchtime, so by noon, and then we'll keep that alert going until 3 o'clock in Galveston, because you'll notice all this energy is really riding along the coastline, pushing towards the northeast. So that's where the heaviest impact is going to be. Brazoria pushing into Galveston, and even in Chambers County, that's where those deep reds are, the heavy rain, and that's where some of our flood advisories are too. So this particular flood advisory from Alvin down 288 towards Angleton lasts until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll notice pockets of rain in this particular spot have been anywhere between 2 to even closer to 3 inches of rainfall. This is Alvin towards Liverpool. You'll notice radar estimate of 2 and about 7/10 of an inch of rain, and then Bonnie closer to 3 inches. Taking you over towards San Leon, Texas City, Jamaica Beach, and Galveston. Another flood advisory until 1:45. This particular spot has seen the rain picking up here over the last 30 minutes. So already San Leon to Texas City, 4 inches and a little bit more than that for radar indicated estimates. Not to mention, Cheetah was keeping a close eye on some of the thunderstorm activity. There was a special weather statement there that has been allowed to expire for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they reissue that. A special weather statement means that the storms are getting a little bit stronger, just below severe thunderstorm criteria. So what we're looking at is the potential of wind, some small hail, and lots of lightning. Okay, future track radar, that takes you to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Notice in the loop and the Beltway, showers are starting to wrap up. Rain on the east side of town, pushing towards the East Tex Freeway. Mont Belvieu is going to be on the lighter side, but we still see heavy bands of rain pushing along the coastline. So Galveston, that's why that weather impact lasts for you until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a snapshot there. You'll notice the Boulevard Peninsula still seeing some rain, but most of this tracking closer towards the coastline of Louisiana. A few scattered storms still possible through 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but at this point they'll be north of the city. So weather impact alert from now through 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The main concern is going to be the potential of some localized street flooding. We could see an isolated storm with wind and small hail as well. So try and limit driving. If you do hit the roads, make sure you are doing it slowly. Keeping a close eye on the roads is our traffic expert, Jennifer Reyna. Have you seen any trouble spots?
You know, I can say this. We have no official high water spots that have been reported by Houston Transtar, by any official authority, and I'm also scanning many of the precincts around town to see if they have been tweeting out things. Now, we have had our fair share of crashes. We are not surprised at that. You can see what's happening here in town. This would be the 610 loop. This is the Beltway system, and then your outer ring is 99. You can get a glimpse of the rain showers that have definitely lightened within town. But I did want to take you up to the North Freeway around 242. We do have an incident working up in the Woodlands area. There's a crash there, and I'm not surprised. Road's so slippery and folks driving a little too fast. And up through Conroe and Panorama Village, you have some slow conditions just due to the soggy pavement there. Now, you just heard Kim and Cheetah talk about Port Bolivar, Galveston, the edge here. Earlier, Jamaica Beach was really getting pounded. So no doubt that 45, the Gulf Freeway leading up through Texas City in both directions, 146, Highway 3, any low-lying areas you could quickly see ponding at least, if not a quick high water spot, should recede quickly, but any of those streets have the potential to take on some water. Here in town, some delays in downtown, but look at how nice and light traffic is here in the heart of Houston. This is what it normally is around this hour. You can see the different crashes that we're dealing with. 69 around Missouri City. This is the southwest part of the Beltway. A crash is working. That's the 242 incident. It looks like they're halting all northbound lanes, or they're going to let one snake through. That's the incident that I mentioned to you first. And this one involving an 18-wheeler, South Loop, right at Scott and the 288 interchange. Good luck.
All right, some hot spots around town. Thank you, Jen. All right, from the roadways to the airways, if you are flying, be sure to check with your airline for any potential delays. We've got a live look at the FlightAware misery map right there. Bush and Hobby reporting some delays. Ugochi Iloka joining us live from Hobby Airport with the latest there. Ugochi.
Hey, Sherman. Yes, it's so important that people check their flight status before they make it here to the airport. We're here at Hobby, as you just mentioned, and right now they have some delays due to the thunderstorms and the rain picking up outside, but it's not too bad. If you can take a look here, it's a regular traffic flow, not as many people right now at this hour compared to earlier in the morning when it was a lot busier before all the rain picked up. So no lines forming, which is good news, but we did just check on Flight View. KHOU here for Hobby Airport about 5 minutes ago, and they're showing about arrival flight traffic is experiencing airborne delays of around 15 minutes, so not that long. And 70% of arrival flights here are running on time, so that's increased, and that's good. 30% of arrival flights are running late. Then you have about 40% of departure flights that are running on time, and 60% of departure flights that are running late. So that kind of picked up there from the last hour we saw you and spoke to you about what's going on here. So that is what's happening here at Hobby. Not that bad, just minimal delays, which is good. We haven't heard much about any cancellations since we've been here. As for Bush Airport, wanted to give you an update. There was a ground stop there, but that has since expired, so they don't have any ground stops anymore at this hour, which is good news. Hopefully that doesn't change. They do have some ground delays, though. They're lasting almost 2 hours, so just a heads up for folks making their way into that airport. Reporting live at Hobby Airport, Ugochi Iloka, KHOU 11 News. Sherman?
All right, thanks, Ugochi. Let's take a live look now over the Galleria area. You can see some of those raindrops hitting the camera lens there. All of our area remaining under a severe weather threat today. We are also tracking power outages across the area. Centerpoint reporting about 9,000 customers now without power. That's up about 4,000 from maybe 30 minutes ago. Energy reporting around 2,000 customers affected. Our Katira Winfrey now joining us live from our weather tracker. She's been heading southbound, kind of near League City now.
Yes, Sherman, we are actually on the feeder road in League City, just off of 45. We decided to get off and take a look. Earlier, right as we were getting out of Houston, we saw some ponding on the road. But the good news here out in League City, we see a little bit of water forming, but nothing too major. But all morning, as we've been reporting, there's been a constant flow of rain. And also another plus, not a whole lot of cars still on the street, particularly on the highway. So perhaps people are trying to enjoy this time in the house, outside, not having to deal with the rain right now. But again, we are at FM 646 here in League City, just off of Highway 45. And right now it's just a constant flow of rain, but so far nothing major to report out here. Again, just reminding people to be mindful that that ponding may happen, as Jennifer Reyna told us earlier, and again to just slow down and when it's time to stop or it's time to hit those brakes. But again, just smooth driving if you're out here on the road, and if you keep it that way, chances are you'll be safe out here, Sherman.
All right, always best to err on the side of caution. Thanks very much. Appreciate it, Katira. All right, let's get back to our team coverage with meteorologists Cheetah Craft, Kim Castro, and traffic expert Jennifer Reyna. Jennifer, let's start with you about our road conditions.
Well, road conditions, there's no doubt right now we're dealing with several crashes. One up in the Conroe area. This is 45 northbound at FM 242. One center lane is the only thing getting through. You guys know that when it's slick, you gotta slow your speeds because spin outs, hydroplaning, very easy to lose control, and be a defensive driver. Even if you're driving at a slower pace, you always have to be alert, so keep those cell phones down. An 18-wheeler is involved in a crash. Again, it's not a surprise. South Loop right at Scott. We have one right lane that gets through. Luckily, traffic is so light that there isn't a ton of backup in these areas. And then the Southwest Freeway, a crash almost about to clear. This is inbound at the West Beltway. A right lane is tied up. You can see that fire engine truck just sitting there as they've already cleared up most of the crash. That flatbed tow truck about to depart. And then busy near the Galleria. This is the West Loop at Post Oak. We are slow going off of 610. Current drive times in case downtown is your final destination and you're still about to make your way in from the outskirts. Clear Lake, 31-minute drive. Remember that it is coming down heavily along the coast, so that could be blinding rain. You might want to hold off your commute. Kingwood, 29 minutes. Woodlands, 43 minutes. Even easier along the Hardy Toll Road. There are no major dips along the Hardy. It sits pretty well in times when we have heavy rain conditions. But you do want to watch for your entrance and exits. Anytime the road dips, you need to assume that there's ponding because it's definitely been across the area. There's been no doubt. Conroe, little southbound delay here off of 45. This is where that 242 problem is working, right in the Woodlands area just south of Conroe. And then I did want to show you the blinding rain, which Kim and Cheetah will talk more about. Texas City, Port Bolivar, very dangerous around Smith Point. Wherever you see that deep maroon is of concern. Liverpool, it's raining and it's going to be soggy up 288. You're getting some clear traffic conditions after Manville if you're making your way toward the Med Center. And this is what it looks like taking the weather radar off of our traffic map. So you can see it's basically light traffic out there. But again, we just want you to take a lot of precautions if you need to leave and hit the roadways. Let's get an update from meteorologist Kim Castro.
That's right.
All right. Talk to us about what's happening.
When we have this kind of setup, it's really important to take a look at localized areas. Not every spot is going to get hit with those heavy bands of rain, but the areas that are getting repeated rounds, what we call training storms, could see too much accumulation in a quick amount of time. So we're seeing some heavy rain accumulating in Jersey Village over the last 24 hours. This is our neighborhood weather network, so we could get down to the street level view. Meyerland along Brays Bayou, this is always going to be a trouble spot, so we are picking up on anywhere between 1 inch to 1.5 inches. That's manageable, and that's why the area isn't under a flood advisory, but we'll keep an eye on it. Bunker Hill Village, Piney Point, Texas Road 77063, you'll notice about 1 inch of rainfall there. And then looking towards Galveston, some big trouble spots coming down the Gulf Freeway. So Tahoe Court, not bad, about 1 inch of rain there, and 1 inch so far for the neighborhood weather network in Galveston, and for the Galvez getting close to 2 inches there. But radar estimates are picking up on more. Remember, these neighborhood weather networks are on specific streets, and a couple of other roads could see a little bit more rainfall that could lead to some issues. But the big picture is right now rain is really focused along the coastline. So a flood advisory from Alvin down to Liverpool, Bonnie, Angleton, so Brazoria and Galveston counties right now watching for the potential of flooded roadways. This advisory is until 1 o'clock. You'll notice 3-hour estimates from our models show us that we've picked up anywhere between 2 to 3 inches of rainfall, closer to 3, down to 88. You'll notice for Galveston that is also under that flood advisory, and this extends until just shy of 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we still have a couple of hours to watch this. So San Leon, hugging the bay, getting down towards Texas City, Jamaica Beach, Galveston, all of these areas will have to monitor excessive rainfall. And look at that, 3-hour total, San Leon to Texas City coming up on 4.5 inches. The big picture shows us we're seeing lots of heavy rain and frequent flashes of lightning, especially for Galveston right now. So here's a snapshot of the lightning count over the last 10 minutes. We have had close to 1,000 strikes. Breakdown between negative and positive strikes, in case you're curious. Positive strikes are 10 times stronger because they come from the top of the thunderstorm. So they travel a much longer distance with a lot more intensity. So if we see this number supersede the negative count, that's when we start to raise an eyebrow for the potential of these storms gaining intensity and becoming severe. But right now, they're behaving as far as the severe components, Cheetah, but the heavy rain, I mean, it's there and it's not moving anywhere.
You know, when you look at that radar image, the broad view, yeah, you can see where it is raining the hardest and where we're seeing the most amount of lightning. And so do our live cameras. You know, we've been checking in along the Gulf Freeway, big improvements. We can still see how wet the roads are. We could still be looking at some lightly scattered showers, so some active rain. Live look over Hobby Airport, about the same. So slow your speeds. You know, the rain has kept our temperatures in the 70s. We are really dealing with some rain cooled air. But talking about the component in Galveston, check out, you can see how dark this camera is. All the lightning that's just flashing in and out, and you can see how heavy the rainfall is as well. So really it's right now in Galveston that we're seeing the heaviest rain. Otherwise, we are seeing improvements across the area. Yeah, that's back to the lightning. But I mean, just a quick scan of our live cameras, you can see how concentrated it is along the coast. You know, this is lining up with the severe weather threat for today. The best chance for that is happening right now. We're at a level 1. This is on a scale of 1 to 5 issued by the Storm Prediction Center. So far this morning, we've had heavy downpours. We've had frequent lightning. We've had some gusty winds, which is actually happening right now in Galveston. And we've even had some pea-sized hail. So that's lining up with that level 1 threat. As far as the flood risk today at that slight risk, a big part of that is just like meteorologist Kim Castro said, because we've had several days of rain, that any other rain, when we have saturated grounds, can quickly lead to some ponding or a quick high water spot. But I'll show you the good news as far as today goes. Notice the hard line of the showers and thunderstorms are now, the back edge of this is starting to move in northwest Harris County. This is an indication, hey, our western counties, we're all getting a break. We're actually going to see this drive west to east. And then a big part of the day, that's it. Now, so there is some back building, notice from Bryan, College Station, so for our extreme northwest counties, that's saying, hey, we may still see some isolated activity. Now this special marine statement here in the box in blue, we could be looking at wind gusts potentially up to about 40 knots. So a big part of that is just offshore, but because of those strong gusty winds, the concentrated lightning, this is the area from Port Bolivar to the Bolivar Peninsula, including Galveston. But notice there's a chunk of this that's either from Galveston and then right offshore as well that we're really going to have to watch carefully over about the next 30 minutes. And we'll see if anything else happens. And of course, make sure you keep your notifications turned on. That way we can send any alerts to your phone. Sherman, back to you.
Thanks, Cheetah, and we'll see you back here on 11 News at noon.